No. Still can't get over that massive penis. But, so, I'm going to start with just talking about my stuff. I kind of only really been in London now for like 2 years after coming back from Liverpool, after being there for about 5 years, and was really lucky to get an internship at Dazed, which kickstarted everything. And I think kind of naturally I've fallen into this thing of trying to incorporate a political message in my work, seeing as I used to be purely just fine art photography and a painter. But I found that with fashion photography, it was kind of like a bit of a sneaky way of getting in a message that maybe reached an audience that may not have seen it otherwise. Feminism being a big one. And so to embed those kind of political messages in my shoots, so it's just a bit covert and a bit sneaky and reaches, I guess it's not preaching to the converted in a way. I found that when I was doing my fine art photography and my painting, the only people that are really going to see it are the ones that kind of probably are likely to get it as it is anyway. I know my sister and her mates are sort of 18, they wouldn't really be interested in some very abstract fine art stuff. Come across my photography in like online on Dazed and on It's Nice That and stuff, and maybe it's more likely to infiltrate their minds a bit more. So that's fun, and yes, works, I hope, sometimes. Another thing is also incorporating humor or wit in my work as well. I often find it makes things a bit more digestible, as opposed to a very dark, heavy, scary story. I think the whole thing with the viralness of kitten videos is based on people just wanting to feel cute and nice. And so, so adding a bit of humor, I guess just enjoying looking through a photo series, it just makes it more absorbable. Obviously, you've got to be careful, because if it's like a really heavy topic like racism, you don't want to make it funny, because it's not funny, it's racism. But, you know, stuff like, I think feminism often can be seen as very dowdy and heavy and scary and shaven heads and very, you know, terrifying for people. So to kind of have a slight funny angle of it, especially white feminism, you know, I mean, I'm aware that hairy armpits aren't as bad as like female genital mutilation. I'm not going to try and make that comparison and make it this very heavy thing. So, you know, it's kind of creating a balance. It needs a message, but then it can also be lighthearted and funny at the same time. It's kind of almost like, I don't know, the dark humor sort of rings a bit truer. Yes, which leads on quite nicely to a series that It's Nice That posted, and it had like a little second wave of popularity because of it. It all kind of came about because I was just having a Mexican with my friend who's also a photographer, El Hardwick. And we were thinking of something we could do together, and I kind of jokingly said, you know, even a silly idea like, you know, making real life emojis and sticking them on a girl's tits. And she was like, and I was like, no, I think that's quite nice. So I met with a friend at Dazed, Ashley, who's the online editor, and I was telling her about it, and she was like, yes, that's really great. So she commissioned it, and it's nice to know that your work's actually going to go somewhere when you really love what you're doing. I often shoot shoots purely for the sake of it, because they're fun and because they're the aesthetic that I like, but knowing that they're going to go on a platform where they're actually going to be seen, it makes it a bit more worthwhile. Like, there's a publication I might be working with soon. I won't drop any names, seeing as it's probably a competitor to It's Nice That, but they got like an 85% coverage in America of women readers every day, which is insane. And so to get something out there with some kind of political message to that kind of widespread audience is something that I would have never have done with just, you know, painting and having 1,000 people come to a gallery opening. Anyway, so I was really happy that Dazed wanted to take it on. So yeah, this is the emoji one. And this is, well, you can see I kind of didn't want to confuse anyone, so I added in the little actual emoji at the bottom just in case it was a bit like tricky. And all the emojis were kind of inspired by like the regularity they were used and the aesthetic and stuff. The little sparkle thing was dubbed by Elle the sparkle fart, because it very perfectly, although maybe not in this case, like in reality, but very perfectly covers up the L scrap because of the two spikes at the top and the bottom. just in case you didn't know, it's great for an R censorship on Instagram. Flowers, and obviously you had to get the aubergine in there. We found a very pretty marbled aubergine, and this photo was quite tricky to take. I mean, looking back at the outtakes, I mean, they weren't pretty. I mean, yeah, there was a lot of ball on show. And the guy, this poor suffering boyfriend of the girl on his left, sort of was dragged along, and I had to change his name because his band were like, are you fucking kidding? Like, we're meant to be this really cool, like, shoegazing band, and you've got your knob out on days with an aubergine. So anyway, his name got changed. And then there's the egg tits, which ironically was the really popular image, but it was just ripping off Sarah Lucas. And people get really smug when they'll like comment on a thing, or I'll be speaking to them and they'll be like, yeah, you know that Sarah Lucas did this before, like, as if like you're so not original. And I was like, I know, you know, I love her, but you know. Oh, and there's a kitten one, because you know, you can only censor a pussy with a pussy, apparently. And I went and bought a kitten and got quite a lot of shit for it, because apparently buying animals for a shoot isn't seen as that good. But you know, I got to have a week with a sweet kitten, and she went to a very sweet friend and gave me more money than I bought her for. So you know, win-win. So who are they? The models. This is Lizzie Farrell, who, aka Glacia Girl. I don't know if you know her work, but she's also very much about incorporating her political message, which is mostly kind of eco-warrior, like you know. What's it called? The bad things happening. I knew this would happen. Where's my wine? Global warming, that's the one. Thanks, Al. But yeah, so she does that stuff, and she was totally up for having her boobs tweaked. And so there you go. She's like really hot, so she does really well with her stuff because it kind of helps apparently. And then there's B as well, who kind of unfortunately, got the snail on her tit. It was a very soft nipple afterwards, so that's fine. The Independent actually shared this series recently after its Nice Stat, and the comments were very funny, very like cis white man comments. There was one, what was it? A woman has to be slightly deranged or desperate for money. Deranged or desperate for money to have photos taken with fried eggs laid across their nipples. And the fact that they all did it for free was kind of funny too, because it was like they opted into it. And the idea that someone could, I mean, there are a lot of worse things you can do for money. Like, I've done worse things. So it's really, it's not too bad. Nothing like that. But, which moves on to the next series, which is totally exclusive, hasn't been published yet. Don't know if I'm allowed to do it, might get in trouble for doing it, but it's fine. Another one for days, which is called The Bell Curve, based on, basically I used to have very, very bad anxiety and panic attacks. So this one goes much more personal, even though I am personally attacked by Instagram for having my tits all the time. It's kind of not as scarring as having panic attacks on a train. So I thought I'd do this one, which is kind of like a cathartic experience and kind of like a purging of like that 10-year period of shit, basically, but making it kind of beautiful as well, like rather than paying homage to it, just distilling it in this shoot, kind of, I'm just rambling. Essentially, it's just to get the coping mechanisms and the symptoms of anxiety, which are mine and my friends, which I asked about, which the response was crazy. So many people suffer from it, it's really awful, and I put the thing on Facebook just saying, how do you cope? You know, what are your symptoms, yada, yada. A few of them I'll take you through now, such as one of my friends said that she visualizes a big balloon that she blows up to control and slow her breathing, which I thought was a really beautiful visual. But then looking at the image recently, actually, it kind of made me think of, and I know you consider a panic attack as this big balloon that's eventually going to pop if you blow too hard, so it kind of has these connotations of anxiety, but then for her it's this relaxing coping thing, which I found really interesting. Another one which I loved was a friend, Alice, who squeezes her arm when she's anxious, and she described it as creating half moons in her skin, which she finds relaxing watching heal, and I was like, that's so poetic and so I had to do it. The makeup artist had to like jab her synthetic nails in the model's skin. Like it looks nice. It wasn't. But this one, you revert back to a kid when you're anxious. You know, you kind of you can become dependent on like your mom and your boyfriend and things. So we got this really sweet little girl in. Sweating with the makeup artist Rebecca Werdingham's amazing red ears, which I quite liked. Things like blurred vision. Yeah, this one's a bit weird. I bought a dog. I like buying animals. Shit. No, I bought a dog for me, for pets, for life, aka not for life. He's now at my mum's. But I bought a dog when I was in Liverpool because I wasn't leaving the house for like 5 days, and I was like this weird skeletal creature, like walking around the house, like not leaving, and like only eating a cheesecake once a week because I was too anxious to eat. So nice. I sound like I'm an AA or something. But no, and so I bought Toby the little dog to make me leave the house at least once a day to take him to walks. It's kind of like a little therapy sesh. So I got this shit fake dog, which some people think is real, which makes me a bit worried about what people think I'm willing to put animals through, but you know, I did buy the cat. The fight or flight, I actually got a puma from the zoo. No, I'm joking, it's fake. It's fake, it's okay. But that cost me half the shoot's budget. And then insomnia, that was a killer. It stopped me doing my A-levels because I had such bad insomnia by the end of it. So that was kind of an important one. And you know, like when the cartoons keep their little eyes open with a toothpicks, you know? So I did that. And then the last one, I mean, there's a lot more, by the way. This is just a sneak peek. There's actually like 50 which I need to cut down, which my friend Alice is going to have to do for me. But one of my other favorites was treading on eggshells. You can't really see it because it's kind of bleached out, but I went and spent like fucking 200 quid on duck egg blue, literal blue eggshells. I would say I baked a lot of cakes, but I didn't. I did just get rid of the eggs. So, you know, let's just keep that. Anyway. So, yeah, the treading on eggshells kind of metaphor, blah, blah, blah. And that comes out soon, and it's just really, I mean, it's really nice that I can just be up here and jabber away anyway, because like 2 years ago, I would not have been able to do that, saying that I have done about 3 fear poos today. But, you know, it's fine, given that last time I'll probably be projectile vomiting on the front row. So I've come so far. But anyway, thank you. Bye.